Hey everyone, and welcome to another of Sethaldor's World of Warcraft guides. This one's going to be on Feral Druid Cat Glyphs. Going to go through PvE Glyphs and then PvP Glyphs, and hopefully get that all in one video. I'd also like to point out that what's discussed in these videos is simply my personal suggestion as to what I've found works successfully and effectively, and if you choose to disagree with them, by all means do so, but try to be polite about it in the comment section below if you choose to voice your opinion there. And feel free to disagree with me on your own accord as well in any of these things. This is not saying this is how you should play your tune. This is simply saying what I found that works. So, as for PvE Prime Glyphs for a Cat Druid, the three I would suggest you pick up would be Prime Glyph of Rip, Shred, and Savage Roar. You're going to want to pick up Rip because that'll be a 15% damage increase on Rip, which you'll be keeping up on the target 100% of the fight, optimally I should say. And Shred will help you do that because it'll increase the duration of Rip each time you shred by 2 seconds up to a max of 6. So that will allow you to do 15% more periodic damage for 3 more ticks if you do shredding properly after you apply Rip. Also, the Savage Roar glyph increases the damage bonus Savage Roar provides you by 5% more than it already would. So that gives you a net bonus damage on Rip, specifically from glyphs alone, 20% increased damage given by your Rip, assuming you apply it when you have Savage Roar up, which you should. So, that's why you want to pick those three to play together. As for glyphs that I didn't recommend for PvE cat glyphing, I would suggest do not take Mangle, because Mangle's only purpose really at the moment is to apply its debuff to increase the damage of bleeds, and that debuff now lasts a minute with this new patch, so you'll really only be using Mangle about once a minute, so 10% damage on something you only use once per minute is not very optimal at all. It's a waste of a glyph slot, to be honest, unless you play your rotation differently. If you use Mangle instead of Shred, which I would suggest not doing, then maybe that glyph would be better. Glyph of Berserk, you could pick this up if you'd like Berserk to last longer. Berserk is certainly a good cooldown. It reduces the energy cost of your abilities by 50%, as well as Berserk increases your energy cap by 20 when properly spec'd, so 5 more seconds of 20 more energy is definitely not a bad thing by any stretch of the imagination. However, it is not as good as 5% increased total damage, 15% damage on your primary bleed, or 6 additional seconds of that bleed. So, the other cat glyph would be Tiger's Fury. Reduces the cooldown of Tiger's Fury by 3 seconds. Again, by no means is this a bad glyph. If you'd like to pick this up, go for it. It gives you 60 energy. It also increases your energy cap by 20 when properly spec'd. It also increases your damage output, which is nice. However, it only lasts, I believe, yes, 6 seconds. So, you know, I mean, and it's got a 30-second cooldown, so you'd be dropping it to 27, which isn't bad. I mean, I'd rather have 15% more bleed damage than 3 seconds off a cooldown that only lasts 6 seconds. But feel free to debate on that. So, Prime Glyphs for PvE that I'm recommending would be Prime Glyph of Savage Roar, Prime Glyph of Rip, and Prime Glyph of Shred. If you don't like that setup and you'd like to get your cooldowns to last longer or more consecutively, I would suggest replacing the Shred Glyph and the Savage Roar Glyph with Berserk and Tiger's Fury. Because if you get those two and do the cooldown rotation properly, there will only be 1 second that you do not have a cooldown up if you choose to burn your Berserk in between 2 Tiger's Furies. Now, for major glyphs in PvE environment, I would say take Feral Charge, and that would be my only recommendation in particular, because the Glyph of Feral Charge will reduce the cooldown of your Feral Charge Cat, and the reduced cooldown on that will allow you to have it ready, and each time you Feral Charge, you get a free Ravage, essentially, which is awesome, because Ravage is a lot of DPS. So the more you can Feral Charge, the more you can get free Ravages off, the better you are. As for the other 2 slots of majors, feel free to play. There is Ferocious Bite, which is interesting. It will allow you to monitor your energy better, because Ferocious Bite won't convert extra energy into damage. However, some people may dislike that because they like seeing the large number from Ferocious Bite. I know I personally do, and that's why I'm not recommending it. You might think about Innervate or Rebirth to help out your raid. Questionable. Innervate would actually help yourself regain mana, so probably not going to be looking at that one. The Rebirth, not a bad idea for raids. Glyph of Rake, kind of useless in raids. Causes the target to not be able to flee. Most raid targets don't flee. So really, my only recommendation for majors would be Major Glyph of Feral Charge. The other 2, feel free to throw whatever you want in them. And as for minors, don't have Typhoon, don't have Tree Form, not a bear. Aquatic Form serves no purpose to benefit my character. Especially with the Abyssal Seahorse coming out in Cataclysm. So I would say Unburdened Rebirth, Mark of the Wild, and Dash again, similar to my Moonkin guide. Now, for the PvP glyphing. For PvP prime glyphs, I would suggest Mangle, primarily, because I find myself doing Mangle and Shred more than just spamming Shred, because I can't always be behind the target in PvP. You don't know where they're going to be running. Plus, things tend to die fairly quickly in PvP, so I need to re-app Mangle more often. I don't really apply Rip in PvP, so Rip and Shred prime glyphs are debunked. Berserk, interesting idea. I don't put up Savage Roar in PvP, and Tiger's Fury, definitely an interesting idea as well. You can also look at some of the healing prime glyphs too. So if I could have my way, my PvP prime glyph setup would definitely be Glyph of Mangle for 10% increased Mangle damage. Glyph of Tiger's Fury, because the 3 seconds off of that will mean that I can have 60 energy out of nowhere, which is an additional 2 shreds on a target that I need. 2 quick shreds, I should say. 60 energy won't get you 2 shreds, but it'll get you damn close to 2. And also, I would probably grab either Glyph of Regrowth or Rejuve, because the Glyph of Rejuve will increase healing done by Rejuve by 10%. Self-explanatory why that's good. The Glyph of Regrowth is cool, because if you throw it on yourself before a fight and you find yourself losing that fight, the heal over time of your Regrowth will refresh its duration on targets at or below 25% health. So if you drop below 25% health while you're fighting and you threw Regrowth on yourself before, that hot won't fall off. You'll at least have 1 hot on you for the rest of the fight, which could easily make the difference between winning and losing. I mean, that hot on Regrowth, assuming that it's ticking for enough, could counteract, say, a Moonfire from a Moonkin tick, or something like Frostfire Bolt tick from Mage. So, recap, for PvP Feral Druid glyphing, I would take Glyph of Tiger's Fury, Glyph of Mangle, and Glyph of, I would say, Regrowth. If you want to focus on damage output, don't take Regrowth, take Berserk. But if you want to take a balance of damage and healing, then I would say the Mangle, Tiger's Fury, Regrowth. The Tiger's Fury is debatable as well. If you don't find yourself liking that so much, then feel free to take Regrowth, Rejuve, and Mangle. That would actually be quite interesting to see play out, especially if you took Nurturing Instincts, which I did recommend to take in the PvP Feral Cat video. So you could see some massive healing from a Cat Druid off of that. Next, we have Major Glyphs. Again, take Feral Charge, absolutely. 2 seconds off your Cat Charge is awesome, because then you can have it ready on the next target that comes running up trying to kill you, and you get a free Ravage. Or, you could even use it multiple times on the same guy. If he's just not dying, you can back up Feral Charge back at him and get a free Ravage out of nowhere. So that's very nice. You could look at Thorns. Thorns is definitely good for PvP now, except that they did nerf the damage on it recently. Fairy Fire, 10 extra yards on Fairy Fire, Bark Skin could be good, reduces chance to be critically hit by 25%, helps with your survivability a lot. Again, a lot of these are not that impressive. for cat druids, the majors. Rake, completely useless in PvP, so you could look at some of the generic ones, I guess you could call them. So if I had to say pick these three, I would say Feral Charge, Entangling Roots, and Barkskin, because Entangling Roots will make your Entangling Roots instant cast, so between that and the first row talent that when you spend an ability that costs CPs, I should say, it will make your next nature spell instant, between that talent and the Glyph, you should have no problem getting Entangling Roots off when it's needed. I mean, that talent makes the Glyph less valuable, but you got an empty spot otherwise. And then Feral Charge, absolutely, and finally Barkskin because of the survivability bonus. If you don't like the Entangling Roots idea, go ahead and grab Thorns or Fairy Fire, whatever you want, really. The majors kind of suck. And as for minors, again, no Typhoon, taunts are useless, no Tree Form. Aquatic Form, fairly useless. So, Unburdened Rebirth, Mark of the Wild, Dash, again, would be my suggestion. That has been Feral Cat Glyphing with Sethaldor of Blade's Edge in the Guild Sacrilege on the character Taladorna. Thank you for watching. If you disagreed with any of these comments, please feel free to politely say so in the comment section below. And please thumb up or thumb down. Any response is a good response, as well as if you enjoyed this, please subscribe and refer me to your friends. Can't wait to put another one out for you guys. See you next time.